Hi there. I'm going to talk about Kami, another Google Chrome extension. If you have questions about how to access Google Chrome extensions, the great puzzle piece, check out the other video. With this tool, which is for PDF file types, it has a lot of the same functions as read and write that was already covered. That's covered in another video. It can read text aloud and you can highlight important text. You can do some other markups that we're going to talk about, but having it read aloud, people that might need that help, or being able to highlight a document and being able to kind of like literally mark it up as you're reading. That's always a good reading technique, is to mark things as you read. That is a really important tool, and being able to do that within a PDF. Let me show you how we're going to do that. I have a PDF. You might have a PDF saved in your drive. You might have one given to you in Google Classroom. You can access it through the little K icon, but most people access it right here. It says Annotate with Kami. There we go. All right. So hopefully we're still good. One of the things, the way I'm having to record, you're not going to be able to hear it probably, but as you see sentences highlighted, it's what it's reading in the text-to-speech tool. So I could even just tell it to go ahead and start reading the page.
South Carolina Social Studies College and Career Ready Standard.
And it's going to go ahead and start reading. It's going to read things that it can find in the header and the footer. But if I want it to read from like a particular sentence or a particular spot, I just go ahead
Inquire into the development
and
of world
click
civilizations,
into the
past
paragraph,
and present,
and it's going to do that. You're seeing it highlight. You may or may not be able to hear that, but you can change the voice on that. You can, I think you can change the speed. Yep. The little clock down here lets you, if you need it to read slower, you can change it down here using the little button underneath here where it says 1.0. You can have it read the same thing over and over again. That's the loop function. You may want to play around with it in order to get used to it and familiar with it. The one that's also familiar is markup. I said this in the read and write video, but very similarly, if you're reading, you might be looking for pros and cons in an article. You might be looking for cause and effect. You might be needing to highlight for different characters. There are multiple reasons that you might use different colors. There are other colors hiding behind my picture here. There it is. You can see that there are lots of colors available to you. Now let's see if I can drop my picture and leave it. All right. So let me show you how you can mark it up. I've already got yellow selected. One is literally to highlight just using the regular cursor tool. You can also freehand highlight. Let's say so I'm just kind of doing a quick tap. So I did like a little, I don't know if you could hear, I kind of did a double tap and drag in order to get it. So, you know, I don't want it to cause you any problems. There's ways to do box highlight. So if like, man, you really like this whole paragraph, that's a way to do a whole paragraph. Anytime you can use underline if you don't like using highlight, if it's harder for you to read, underline is better for you, use underline. Anytime you do one of these, you can then use the select tool to add to it. You can change the color. I think that's the copy function. Like you want to copy what's in there. You can change it to a comment. And if you change it to a comment, you can also add, notice over here, you can add comments. Just like read and write, now I can use the microphone tool to talk about why this section is important. Comments allow you to sort of say something. Maybe it's a summary. That's a good reading device, is if you can summarize what you just read or say why it's important. You can tie it to another fact that you've been reading. These are lots of different reading tools that are available to you. As I mentioned, if you just wanted to make a comment from the start, You just highlight something that you want to make a comment on, highlight it. It will highlight it and give you a comment box. Anytime you want to get rid of something in here, you click on the little trash can. If you keep making changes, it will prompt you to save it. It will save it in your Google Drive, and that's good, so you can come back to it later. One of the things I should say that I didn't mention earlier is that this logs in using Google, and your at greenvilleschools.us login that is connected to your Google Classroom is what you will use to log into this. And you may also, so the first time you use it, you may have to set, yes, log in with me at greenvilleschools.us. Yes, save things to my drive using that school Google login. So you may have to kind of log in once or twice before it sort of remembers you automatically. But you can have it save. Anything that you do, you can undo. So let's say, I can trash things. There's always an undo function that comes up to do things as well. It takes a little bit to maybe get really used to it. You'll notice that when I clicked on this freehand highlight, I can change how wide some of that was. Or maybe that's the new one. I don't know if I can change it after the fact. I can kind of move it around. There's lots of things that I can kind of do to move things, change things, get rid of things. Like I said, you're going to want to play with it a little bit as you use the tool, but I think that this is a good general introduction into using things like text-to-speech, markup, and comment. You can create freehand text boxes. You can do other things like draw on here as well. I do have a teacher version, so I can't remember if some of these are or are not available to you as a student, but I know for sure that text and markup are available to you and that those are reliable tools for you to use. So I hope that this has been a great introduction into camming, and I hope that you'll use it in the classroom.